context to this request for information that's at MF6 is that when the National Commissioner gave evidence, he indicated that when the tender was being adjudicated, that he received a call from a member from IDAC warning that there was a company called that was linked to Mr. Matlala that was bidding for the contract. And so what is at Annexure MF6 is the responses, the further responses from the National Commissioner following his engagement with the evidence leaders. And just to recap, the responses from the National Commissioner says that he was contacted by a gentleman from IDAC called Mr. Sunil Belichan in and around May 2024. So just in terms of the timeline we're talking about, this is after the bid evaluation committee has completed the evaluation, but before the bid adjudication committee awards the contract, makes the final award.
Correct.
And what the National Commissioner indicated was that this gentleman from IDAC had raised concerns that there was Medicare 24 Tshwane did not have a valid tax clearance certificate and had been blacklisted, and that it seemed to have been linked to an entity that was linked, or a person that was involved in Tembisa Hospital. So you were then indicating that from this response, he said that he spoke to an official.
Yeah, he had not spoken to me. He had spoken to the official in my absence. I was on leave at the time, and National Commissioner was assured that there is nothing untoward with regards to the evaluation process. When we started, I'll just mention that part here because it's critically important, even though we are not dealing with the adjudication process. When the bid adjudication set and we did the declaration, it would appear that the bid adjudication committee members did not know of any concerns that were raised by IDAC, because when I called upon for them to declare, none of them had any declarations to make with regards to this contract. Neither did I have any declaration, because it was unknown to me that this concern had been raised with the National Commissioner.
Yes, but it had been raised with the National Commissioner. Who's the official that the National Commissioner says that he spoke to?
In his letter, in his response to the chairperson of this committee, the National Commissioner has indicated that he had spoken to Major General Hankins.
Yes. And in what capacity was Major General Hankins acting at the time?
I was on leave. She was acting as the Divisional Commissioner of Supply Chain.
So then, despite those, the concerns were raised, then it proceeded to the adjudication.
The unknown to the bid adjudication committee, the tender was tabled to the bid adjudication committee for adjudication, and we did sit as the adjudication committee to adjudicate.
And then on the 18th of June 2024, Medicare 24 Tshwane was awarded the health risk management services contract. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So, General Fani, can I now request that we look at the bid evaluation committee report? It's at Annexure MF7.
Can I get the page?
page 368. So, certainly just to clarify, the heading of the document is written Submission Bid Adjudication Committee. Is this the report of the Bid Evaluation Committee?
That's the report compiled by the Bid Evaluation Committee for consideration by the Bid Adjudication Committee. Correct.
Correct. So even though it's headed Bid Adjudication Committee, we must understand it as the BEC report.
Correct.
Right. So, just starting at page 370, paragraph 5. This is the list of all the bidders, the 22 bidders that had submitted bid in responses to the advertisement.
Correct.
And Medicare 24 Tshwane, its full name is not written out, is indicated to be bidder number 20.
Correct.
Can you then take us through what the first phase of the adjudication process was for this contract?
The adjudication.
The evaluation process.
Thank you. I was about to highlight that the adjudication does not have phases. The evaluation process, the first phase is the mandatory documentation. So mandatory documentations here would be clearly stipulated, and if none of the bidders submit those mandatory documentation, they would automatically be disqualified. Coupled with that are the issues of bid documents, standard bidding documents, which must also be submitted. If any of the standard bidding documents are missing, the supplier would, or the bidder would also be disqualified from the process.
Okay. So, essentially, the bid evaluation committee starts out with 22 bids and assesses them for whether the mandatory documents are present, and at page 375, paragraph 8, it then excludes 10 bidders from there. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so after checking whether the mandatory documents were there, what remains are 12 bidders.
Correct.
And as you see, bidder number 20, Medicare 24 Tshwane District, is one of the 12 bidders.
That's correct.
Can you then take us through the next phase? Or let me ask this question. So, is it then your understanding that having excluded the 10 bidders, the 12 that had remained had all the required documentation in order to be able to proceed to the next phase of evaluation?
In the report that was submitted to the Bid Adjudication Committee, it would appear that the Bid Evaluation Committee had applied their mind and have made certain that all the relevant documentation and all the relevant requirements of the bid documents have been complied to, and in the report then they're recommending that the suppliers be carried to the next phase of evaluation. And all other suppliers that were disqualified, in the report it was clearly stipulated why they were disqualified. We have interrogated that report as a bid adjudication committee, and made certain that the reasons cited for disqualification were justified.
So can you take us through the next phase of evaluation that took place?
The next phase of evaluation, once you have gotten the mandatory as well as the SPD documents, would typically be, in this instance, was to go and look at the functionality, what we would term functionality in the evaluation process.
But what does that mean practically?
What it means is you're looking at all the stipulations that were made in the bidding documents that the supplier was supposed to comply to in order for them to fulfill the requirements of the job.
Yes. So if one looks at paragraph 9.1, the questions are, does the bidder have a live operating system in place on a 24-hour basis? Is there a 24-hour line to get a hold of the bidder, should they be required? Does the bidder have the necessary functional equipment like mobile units in all provinces when required to conduct medical examinations and tests? So, and that's just examples of the various functional things that they were looking for.
Those are the things that they looked at in order for us to ensure that the bidders have not claimed to have these functions on paper. We would then add another leg of due diligence where we physically go to the facilities listed in the bid documents, the address listed in the bid document, to make sure that these facilities or these functions actually are catered for by the supplier.
So in relation to Medicare 24 Tshwane district, where did they go to ascertain that these services actually existed?
It would appear that they went to the address that has been provided in the bid documents.
And is there, this is the document that ultimately serves before the bid adjudication committee. So is there anything that more in this document that indicates exactly what that address was?
No. In the address, in the report that's given to the bid adjudication committee, the address was not stipulated. It is an understanding and that we only entertain what is submitted in the bid. So the address was provided in the bid documents, in one of the SBD documents that the bidder has provided. Should there have been a different address that the bid evaluation committee would have to go to, the supplier or the bidder would have had to write to us and indicate, to the bid evaluation committee and indicate a different address to the bid evaluation committee. It doesn't appear that such a change of address was indicated to the bid evaluation committee, to the information at my disposal.
So the bid evaluation committee at 9.2.3 on page 376 essentially says that it conducted a due diligence at, and amongst others, at Netcare Occupational Health, Carawell Holdings. I'm reading the wrong one. It's actually 9.2 point. Yes. 9.2.3. That they say that they conducted due diligence at Blue Collar Occupational Health, Medicare 24 Tshwane District, and Mohumuzi Trading Pty Ltd. And the report only says that due diligence was conducted. It doesn't indicate whether it was successful, but is that your understanding that they found these services that they were looking for?
It is an understanding that if all was in order in terms of the criteria that was set for the evaluation, we would only in the report reflect what was the deviation so that we may understand the deviation, so that in the adjudication phase we may understand the nature of that deviation that was discovered during the evaluation process. And in this instance, all those suppliers where there was or were deviations were highlighted as such, and we have interrogated that list.
Okay. And then following that due diligence exercise, there then remains 7 bidders who go into the final phase of evaluation on issues of price. It says price matrix report.
Yes. Correct.
And the 7 bidders are indicated from page 378, paragraph 10 of that report.
Correct.
And again, Medicare 24 Tshwane District is included as one of those.
Correct.
And then what is the eventual process that is undertaken on the price matrix report?
The price matrix report would be populated. It becomes quite a cumbersome document. All the suppliers that made it to price would then be populated on a matrix. A formula would be applied, and then there will be a ranking with regards to, and the BEE scores will also be included, and then there will be a ranking in terms of the supplier with the highest points. In this instance, the supplier that had the highest points on those 2 attributes was the Medicare 24 Tshwane, and the BEE, the Bid Evaluation Committee, populates that matrix, and the outcome of that matrix is then put into a report indicating that the supplier is the one that had the highest points in terms of that matrix population.
Okay. And so the ultimate recommendation at page 379, paragraph 12 of that report is that from the Bid Evaluation Committee is that the tender or the award be given to Medicare 24 Tshwane District.
Correct.
This report is then what ultimately serves before your committee, the Bid Adjudication Committee.
Correct.
And it serves before the Bid Adjudication Committee with 2 annexures, if I understand, if that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are, just to take one step back, at page 368, the 2 annexures that are outlined. Can you just indicate what they are?
The first annexure here is the need activation, and then annexure B is the bid specification document.
Okay, so this report plus the need activation and the bid specification are what goes to your committee. Can you then take us through how the Bid Adjudication Committee then decided to then approve this recommendation to appoint Medicare 24 Tshwane district?
The bid adjudication committee, the secretariat of the component head, let me start there. The component head, I'm getting feedback, Chair. The procurement, the bid evaluation committee completes their evaluation and they put a report together. Once the report is put together, the procurement policy makes provision for quality assurance in the process. The section head procurement would then go, and there is responsibilities to go and check and validate that the claims that are made in the report are indeed accurate. It may require, in some instances, for them to consult the source documents, the bid documents received, just to ascertain that even the reasons for disqualification or the reasons for qualification have been met before that matter is submitted to the bid adjudication committee. Once the section head has looked at that, he signs the report to indicate his satisfaction of the report. He then passes it over to the component head, who does another set of validation or quality check of the document to make sure that the section head had not missed anything that needed to have been identified as an anomaly in the process. Once the component head is satisfied that everything is in order, he or she will then sign and then table this with the secretariat for deliberations with the bid adjudication committee. So we do have sets of quality assurance steps that we have in place to make sure that the submission that comes to the bid adjudication committee is not thick and cumbersome, including the source documents, and that the evaluation report is totally independent of all the other attachments that they are there. Typically, what the members of the bid adjudication committee would do is that each member would receive their file with all the documentation required. They would go through the file and make sure that they look at all the aspects that they need to look at. The angle of how each member would look at solely rests on them with regards to what are the things that they would be looking for. But when we do look at the issue, some of the things that we normally would look at is that indeed the needs were identified and there's funds available for this. We're also looking at that the bid specification committee did sit and approved the specification. We also look that the tender was duly advertised, and it was not only advertised at a medium that cannot be accessed by all the suppliers to look at issues of equality, and we also looking at that every reason that was given for the disqualification of the suppliers is indeed in line with the policy and is also in line with the applicable legislation, and that no supplier has been disqualified unfairly. We would then look at any other matter that may be of interest at that time from one tender to another. In this instance, we have looked at in that fashion. When we did have deliberations in the bid adjudication committee, yes. Each member would then have to highlight what are the issues that they had concerns with, and each member has indicated they were not material at all. We were worried about the time frame of the contract. The time frame of the contract, we were asking why the contract was not done in 5 years, based on the nature, and we did come to a conclusion as the bid adjudication committee that the circumstances in Saps do change from time to time, and a longer term contract would not be necessarily required. Other than that, there was nothing material that could stop the award of this contract based on the information at our disposal at that time submitted from the bid evaluation committee.
So if I understand you correctly, because the main issue you say that the bid adjudication committee considered was the length of the contract.
Yep.
And didn't consider whether the mandatory documents were submitted, whether there was an evaluation properly done on price, and so on.
Apologies. We would not discuss things that are already contained in the report, which do not require any clarification. So that information was provided in the report, and we did not have to have any deliberations with regards to that. My role as the chairperson of the committee. Can I proceed,
Yes,
Chair?
you can
My role as the chairperson of the bid adjudication committee is to afford each member an opportunity to indicate their decision with regards to the submission. You will pick up in the record